Hello, and welcome to another episode of Easy Chat English Podcast. I'm Amelia, and I'm here with my co-host, Ethan. Today, we're going to talk about something that I know many people struggle with: quitting smoking. Both of us have personal experiences with this, right, Ethan?
Definitely. Quitting smoking is one of the hardest things I've ever done, but also one of the most rewarding. So if you're listening today and thinking about quitting, or even if you've tried before and slipped up, don't worry, you're not alone.
Exactly. We'll share our stories, talk about the challenges, and of course, we'll also give you some helpful tips and strategies that worked for us. And while we're at it, we'll introduce you to some useful vocabulary and expressions related to quitting smoking. So, let's dive in.
All right, so let's start by sharing our stories. I started smoking in my early 20s. It was more of a social thing at first, hanging out with friends, lighting up after a meal. But before I knew it, I was smoking regularly, and it became a really hard habit to break.
Oh yeah, I can relate. For me, smoking started when I was stressed. I felt like it was my way of relaxing, especially during busy work days. But what about when you tried to quit? How did that go?
Well, let's just say it wasn't easy. The first few times I tried to quit, I'd cut back for a few days, but then I'd slip up. It's like I'd have a cigarette and think, oh, just one won't hurt. But of course, one always led to another. And before I knew it, I was back to smoking the same amount.
Yeah, I've been there. When I first tried to quit, I went cold turkey. I just stopped smoking altogether, thinking I could handle it. But the cravings, man, they were intense. Every time I smelled someone smoking or saw a cigarette, I'd feel that pull. It was like my body was screaming for it.
Oh, I get that. It's not just about the physical addiction to nicotine, it's the habit too. Smoking becomes a part of your routine, like having a cigarette after a meal or during a break at work. Breaking that habit feels impossible sometimes.
Exactly. I remember after dinner, I'd automatically reach for a cigarette like it was second nature. And when I didn't have one, I'd get irritable, anxious. It was tough, but I kept telling myself that I could get through it. And eventually I did.
Let's talk about why quitting is so hard. Like you said, it's not just the nicotine. The withdrawal symptoms are no joke. I remember when I tried to quit, I had terrible mood swings. One minute I'd be fine, and the next I'd snap at someone for no reason.
Oh yeah, the mood swings are real. I'd get super grumpy, especially when the cravings hit. My husband would look at me and say, "You need to chill. You're not yourself right now."
My friend said the same thing, but that's the thing. Quitting smoking messes with your emotions. Your body's used to getting that nicotine hit. And when it doesn't, you feel anxious, stressed, and even a little lost.
And then there's the stress relief part. A lot of people smoke because they think it helps them relax. I used to believe that too, but the truth is, smoking doesn't really relieve stress. It just temporarily takes the edge off, and then you're left craving more.
Exactly. Smoking might feel like a quick fix, but in the long run, it creates more stress because of the constant cravings. And when you're trying to quit, the cravings hit hard, especially during stressful situations. That's when a lot of people relapse.
Yeah, and I remember feeling like quitting was impossible sometimes. But that's why it's important to know that those cravings do get better. They don't last forever. It's tough, but it's not impossible.
Speaking of cravings, let's talk about some strategies that helped us cope. One thing that really worked for me was finding a replacement habit. Instead of reaching for a cigarette, I started chewing gum or snacking on something healthy.
Same here. I carried a pack of gum with me everywhere. Whenever I felt the urge to smoke, I'd pop a piece of gum instead. It was a small thing, but it helped.
And support groups helped too. I joined an online group where people were going through the same thing. It made a huge difference to know I wasn't alone and to hear how others were dealing with their own cravings and struggles.
Yeah, having a support system is key. For me, talking to my husband or friends when I felt like I might slip up was a game changer. They kept me motivated and reminded me why I wanted to quit.
Another thing that helped was using nicotine patches. I wasn't sure about them at first, but they really took the edge off and made the cravings more manageable.
I didn't try patches, but I know a few people who did, and they said it really helped. Everyone's different, so finding what works for you is important. It could be gum, patches, support groups, or even just keeping busy with something else to distract yourself.
Let's talk about the good stuff now. The benefits of quitting. One of the first things I noticed was how much better I felt physically. My lungs felt clearer, and I could breathe easier.
Same. After a few weeks, I wasn't getting winded as easily, and I could actually taste food again. It's amazing how much smoking dulls your senses.
Right? And the other huge benefit, saving money. I didn't realize how much I was spending on cigarettes until I stopped buying them. I started putting that money toward other things, and it felt so much better.
Yeah, it's crazy how much you can save. I think I was spending a couple $100s a month on cigarettes without even realizing it. Now, I've got that money back in my pocket.
Plus, you just feel healthier overall. I had more energy, my skin looked better, and I didn't have that lingering smell of smoke on me anymore.
Yeah, the smell of smoke is one thing I don't miss at all. Now, when I'm around someone who smokes, I can smell it from a mile away, and I'm like, wow, I used to smell like that?
Exactly. So if you're listening and you're thinking about quitting, remember that the benefits far outweigh the temporary discomfort. You'll feel healthier, have more energy, and you'll save a lot of money.
All right, for anyone out there trying to quit smoking, we've got some advice for you. The first thing is to take it one day at a time. Don't think about quitting forever. Just focus on getting through today without a cigarette.
That's such great advice. Also, don't be too hard on yourself if you slip up. If you have a cigarette, it doesn't mean you failed. Just keep trying, because every step toward quitting is a step in the right direction.
Absolutely. And get yourself a support system. Whether it's family, friends, or even an online group, having people to talk to when you're struggling can make all the difference.
And don't forget to celebrate the small victories. Maybe you've gone a day without smoking, or a week, whatever it is, give yourself credit. Quitting smoking is a big deal, and every little bit counts.
One more thing, believe in yourself. Quitting smoking is hard, but it's not impossible. If we can do it, so can you.
Well, that's all the time we have for today. If you're listening and thinking about quitting, remember, you're not alone. We've been there, and we know how tough it can be. But trust us, it's worth it.
Definitely. And if you ever need a reminder, just think about the benefits. Better health, more energy, and saving money. You've got this.
Thanks for joining us today. If you have any questions or want to share your own experiences with quitting smoking, feel free to reach out to us. We'd love to hear from you.
Take care, everyone, and we'll catch you next time on the Easy Chat English podcast. Keep pushing forward one day at a time.